What if everything you were told about women was wrong? What if beneath the flattering illusions, the romantic ideals, and the sugar-coated stories, there was a truth so uncomfortable, so raw, that most people simply choose to ignore it? This isn't a video about hate. This isn't a video about blame. This is a video about power. The power women have, the power men misunderstand, and the power that society pretends doesn't exist. Friedrich Nietzsche, the stormy philosopher of the 19th century, looked deep into the human soul and saw something few dared to speak out loud. His words were not designed to be polite. They were meant to be honest. And in that honesty, he uncovered a terrifying insight about women, one that still shakes modern minds. Today, we explore that truth, unfiltered, unforgiving, and, if you're brave enough, unforgettable. Welcome to Echoes of Wisdom. Let's dive into Nietzsche's most controversial observations and what they really reveal about human nature, attraction, and the eternal conflict between illusion and reality. Friedrich Nietzsche wasn't just a philosopher, he was a cultural bombshell and one of his most explosive targets. The way society idolizes women. In his sharpest works, Beyond Good and Evil, and Thus Spoke Zarathustra, Nietzsche dismantles the pedestal upon which women had been placed. He wrote, "Everything in woman is a riddle, and everything in woman hath one solution. It is called pregnancy." This quote, often misunderstood, doesn't mean women are only useful for childbirth. Instead, it points to a harsh truth Nietzsche saw in evolution, that a woman's instincts, desires, and social behaviors are deeply tied to the survival of life itself. To Nietzsche, woman is not man's equal in nature, not because she's inferior, but because she's playing a different game, a deeper, more primal game. Where men seek honor, status, power, women often play the long game, the game of influence, of seduction, of social maneuvering. Nietzsche called it the subtle tyranny of softness. He wasn't demonizing femininity, he was exposing its true strength. But why did this bother so many? Because Nietzsche's truth tore apart the fairy tales. It challenged the comforting illusion that love is pure, that women are nurturing angels, that equality means sameness. Nietzsche wasn't interested in illusions. He wanted what was real. And when you start seeing clearly, the entire structure of society starts to look like a performance, a masquerade, where women wear the mask of tenderness, while wielding a power more cunning than brute force could ever be. Nietzsche believed all life is driven by one force, the will to power, not happiness, not peace, but power. And this applied to women just as much as men, but in a different form. Men often chase power through war, wealth, or dominance. Women, Nietzsche claimed, use a different arsenal, their beauty, their emotions, their ability to influence others without appearing to dominate. It's not submission, it's strategy. Nietzsche called this a form of cunning, not to degrade it, to point out how effective it is. He wrote, "Woman's greatest art is the ability to appear weak while she conquers." To Nietzsche, femininity is not fragile, it's formidable. This is why, he argues, men often misunderstand women. They assume gentleness equals weakness. They mistake charm for surrender. But behind the soft smile is a calculating will. It's not malicious, it's evolutionary, it's survival, and in some ways, it's more dangerous because it works quietly, invisibly. While men draw swords, women draw lines of emotional loyalty, social pressure, cultural influence, and win without making a sound. In this framework, Nietzsche asks us to stop thinking in terms of male strength versus female weakness. Instead, recognize them as two different expressions of the same drive, the will to power. Here's where things get even more uncomfortable. Nietzsche saw romantic love not as a pure emotion, but as a convenient delusion. He believed that much of what we call love is driven by biological necessity and the will to power disguised as passion. He wrote, "Love is the state in which man sees things most decidedly as they are not." This isn't cynicism, it's X-ray vision. Nietzsche believed that men idealize women. They see them not as they are, but as symbols, projections of their own longing. This projection blinds them. They don't see the full complex reality of woman, they see a dream. And when reality eventually shows up, they call it betrayal. Nietzsche's advice? Stop expecting women to live up to your illusions. See them not as goddesses, but as humans, with instincts, with agendas, with ambitions. Because if you're blind to someone's true nature, you can't truly relate to them. And worse, you're easy to manipulate. Every broken heart built on illusion proves his point. Society doesn't want you to think this way. It teaches you to idolize women, to suppress masculine assertiveness, to believe that power must be earned by women and feared in men. But Nietzsche saw through this. He believed that modern culture had become infected by what he called slave morality, the morality of the weak pretending to be virtuous. He believed that men were becoming domesticated, tamed, neutered by guilt and fear. And women? Women were becoming more powerful than ever, but in the shadows, through culture, through influence, through emotional leverage. Nietzsche wasn't condemning this. He was warning us. If you don't understand the game, you will lose it. You'll walk into relationships blind. You'll project virtue where there's only survival. You'll confuse kindness for loyalty, and you'll suffer for it. We live in an age where truth is optional, but perception is everything. Where optics are more powerful than outcomes, and that makes Nietzsche more relevant than ever. The danger isn't that women have power. The danger is pretending they don't. Now, let's pause. Because here's the truth. Nietzsche didn't always get it right. His view of women was limited by his time and by his personal wounds. He was rejected by the woman he loved. He lived in solitude. His reflections often came from pain, not partnership. So we don't take Nietzsche's view as the final word. We take it as a challenge to see beyond the surface, to question what society teaches us, to observe without flinching. Nietzsche's value wasn't in being right. It was in being brave enough to say what no one else would. And in that bravery, he gave us something more powerful than agreement. He gave us permission to think, to question, to reject the herd, to wrestle with uncomfortable truths until they bend into something honest. In today's world, these truths matter more than ever. Modern dating is a battlefield. Roles are blurred, expectations are sky high, and everyone is told they deserve everything without understanding what they're really getting into. Nietzsche's philosophy cuts through the noise. It tells us, don't chase illusions. See people for what they are, not what you want them to be. Understand the will to power in yourself and in others, especially in those who smile sweetly. Nietzsche teaches us to respect femininity not because it's soft, but because it's strong. It has its own tactics, its own wisdom, its own power. And if you don't see it clearly, you'll always be at its mercy. This isn't about control, it's about clarity. So how do you live this truth? Here's how. Stop idolizing, start observing. Study behavior, not just words. Don't resent the power of women, respect it. Own your own will to power. Don't surrender it in exchange for approval. Nietzsche teaches that becoming strong means embracing reality, all of it. Not hiding behind ideals, not clinging to illusions. If love is to mean anything, it must be chosen in full awareness, not as a fantasy, but as a union of equals, both playing the game with eyes wide open, because only when we see clearly can we choose clearly. Nietzsche's view reminds us that attraction is not born from sameness, but from difference. Masculinity and femininity are not identical energies battling for equality. They are opposite poles that create tension, magnetism, and life. And when we forget that, we flatten relationships into dull contracts. Nietzsche understood that conflict and polarity are part of human passion. Men and women are not meant to mirror each other perfectly. They're meant to challenge and elevate each other, not by becoming the same, but by becoming more fully themselves. In Nietzsche's words, the true man wants two things, danger and play. For that reason he wants women, as the most dangerous plaything. Crude, maybe? But in this line is a deeper truth. The dance between the sexes is risky, raw, and real. It is not meant to be safe. It's meant to awaken you. Nietzsche often warned us not to turn away from the abyss. He who fights with monsters should look to it that he himself does not become a monster. And if you gaze long into an abyss, the abyss also gazes into you. What does this mean in the context of love, women, and power? It means that when we explore these ideas, the shadow, the manipulation, the raw truth, we must be careful not to become bitter. Clarity is not the same as contempt. Nietzsche didn't want you to hate women. He wanted you to see them, to love them with eyes open, because only when you know the truth can your love become real. Nietzsche once said, "Sometimes people don't want to hear the truth because they don't want their illusions destroyed." That's what this episode is about. Not comfort, but clarity. Not hate, but understanding. You don't have to agree with Nietzsche. You don't have to accept every word. But if you can sit with his ideas, even the painful ones, and still look at the world with your own eyes, then you've already begun to think for yourself. And that's what he truly wanted. If this made you uncomfortable, good. Growth begins where comfort ends. Now it's your move. If this video resonated with you and you found value, share it with others in need. Subscribe to Echoes of Wisdom for more thought-provoking content. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.